There is still clouds of uncertainty hovering over the North Korea-U.S. summit. North Korea's top diplomat handling relations with the U.S. says the North will not beg for talks with Trump and toss the ball again, saying that either the Singapore summit or a nuclear showdown is entirely dependent upon Washington's behavior.
The model that we have laid forth is a rapid denuclearization, total and complete.
Pence had warned that it would be a great mistake if North Korean leader Kim Jong-un thinks he can play President Trump, and that if Kim does not strike a deal, it will end like the Libyan model.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect Libyan civilians. That action has now begun. In this effort, the United States is acting with a broad coalition that is committed to enforcing United Nations Security Council Resolution 1973, which calls for the protection of the Libyan people. That coalition met in Paris today to send a unified message, and it brings together many of our European and Arab partners. This is not an outcome that the United States or any of our partners sought. Even yesterday, the international community offered Muammar Gaddafi the opportunity to pursue an immediate ceasefire, one that stopped the violence against civilians and the advances of Gaddafi's forces. But despite the hollow words of his government, he has ignored that opportunity.
But is it a requirement that Kim Jong-un agree to give away those weapons before you give any kind of concession?
I think that's right. I think we're looking at the Libya model.
His attacks on his own people have continued. His forces have been on the move, and the danger faced by the people of Libya has grown. I am deeply aware of the risks of any military action, no matter what limits we place on it. I want the American people to know that the use of force is not our first choice, and it's not a choice that I make lightly. But we cannot stand idly by when a tyrant tells his people that there will be no mercy, and his forces step up their assaults on cities like Benghazi and Misrata, where innocent men and women face brutality and death at the hands of their own government.
The coalition said destroying Gaddafi was not their goal. Then why bomb his palaces? Now some officials have claimed that eliminating him was in fact their goal. Who gave them that right? Did he have a fair trial? Returning to the no-fly zone, the bombings are destroying the country's entire infrastructure. When the so-called civilized world uses all its military power against a small country destroying what's been created by generations, I don't know if that's good.
So we must be clear. Actions have consequences, and the writ of the international community must be enforced. As Commander-in-Chief, I have great confidence in the men and women of our military who will carry out this mission.
North Korea's Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee said that she will put forward a suggestion to the Supreme Leadership to reconsider the summit with the U.S. if Washington clings to quote-unquote unlawful and outrageous acts. Singling out U.S. Vice President Mike Pence's recent remarks on the Libya model and military option against Pyongyang, Choi threatened that North Korea is capable of inflicting upon the U.S. a terrible tragedy that it has never experienced before.
The White House is sending top aides to Singapore this weekend for a critical meeting with North Korean officials. They'll focus on logistics, not diplomatic negotiations, but there's a lot at stake. Less than 2 weeks ago, a North Korean delegation failed to show up for a similar planning session with U.S. officials, giving the administration cause for concern. Despite the president's hedging on the summit, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Wednesday that it's still scheduled for June 12.
Our team is preparing up and down. The administration, president will absolutely be prepared for the meeting.
The big sticking point may be what the U.S. and North Korea think a complete denuclearization should look like. North Korea has said it wants a phased approach, concerned about losing leverage and security for the Kim regime. The White House is signaling something different.
It's up to the North Koreans to show us that they really do intend to give up nuclear weapons.
Well, arguably, North Korea also walks in a position of some strength, economic weakness perhaps, but this nuclear program is further along than any past administration has encountered.